When last we left our heroes, they were searching for Mithril in the snow-capped mountains of South Valconen. And we pick up where we left off. They have located a small mountain stream winding through the wind-swept mountains. And as they approach it, Leopold Stavish, their Kalner or Dwarven member, just below the frozen waters of the stream, glimpses what seems to be a bright, shining, silver, metallic gleam. Could it be the mithril that they seek? And we're going to jump straight in and hand over to you guys. You're stood by this small, sort of fairly narrow, not too deep, frozen stream. Obviously the weather's been quite terrible recently because we're getting into winter. The waters are pretty much frozen over, but you can still sort of see the bottom of the stream because you're in the area where it shallows out and it runs into the forest on the southwest of the mountain range. And you can see the pebbles and the rocks, the jagged rocks at the bottom of it, all beneath this sort of frosty light covering of ice. There's a slight wind blowing, a few wisps of snow falling through the air and sort of landing on your gear as you're moving. And Leopold, you've just looked down and you've seen this glinting as though of silver, but brighter and more brilliant than silver.
Yeah,
just below the ice.
I like reach out. I imagine that Weimar's there or nearabouts. I kind of grab him. Weimar, tell me my eyes do not deceive me. That appears to be the glint of silver, or more precisely, mithril.
Well, you'd know better than I.
True.
But indeed, as you look down, Weimar, you can also see, so in amongst the rocks and the pebbles on the bed of this frozen stream, you can also see this bright glinting as the light sort of refracts through the layer of ice. A brilliant silver light.
Then I shall shed my pack and just advance cautiously, checking the ground. I don't want to inadvertently end up in the flow of the stream.
Yeah, I mean you're cautious, but you're pretty safe here because, like I say, it's a fairly shallow, sort of small stream, and it's pretty much entirely frozen from what you can see. But like I say, it's only like a couple of feet deep here, so even if you did somehow fall in, you're not going to be swept away by it. But yeah, you cautiously sort of make your way over, and as you get nearer to the bank of this stream, and you very gently brush away a bit of the snow that's collected on top of the frozen water, and as you peer in, you can see what appear to be small flakes, small chunks of this bright silver metallic substance. And at this range it leaves you in no doubt that it is mithril, or true metal as your people call it.
Right. Leopold, being a man of some experience, or a dwarf of some experience, I should say, he glances around just to see that he's not being observed in his activities.
Well, aside from the rest of your party, there doesn't really seem to be anyone else about. You can hear like a few birds off in the distance and the occasional animal call from the nearby forest, but nothing that sounds like it's an immediate danger to you.
Okay. Right, Weimar. I feel it would be prudent for us to light a fire before we investigate.
All right.
Although, speaking of animals, Darren, can I please get you to roll me a d6?
Can. And that is a 2.
Okay. That's grand.
Oh yes, lest we forget.
Indeed.
The worm of the west, or the east.
So, okay. Oh, you know, it's got a long fly range. We'll have to zoom out the map. Okay, so as you're sort of saying this and you're looking around, you do hear this incredibly loud screeching noise coming from a few miles to the southeast of you. And as you sort of look around, obviously all like taking cover and suitable precautions, you see a large winged lizard with scales of white and various shades of blue that almost seems to be made out of ice itself, sort of flies pretty much directly over where you are, casting this humongous shadow. And for a few moments as it passes overhead, you feel like the downdraft, and you hear the of these giant pallid leathery wings flapping. However, the creature does not appear to have spotted you at present. It's obviously you're amongst the trees and stuff like that, and it more or less flies directly over the top of you. However, as it does, there's like a cold wind that seems to follow in its wake, and the temperature seems to fall a few degrees as it passes over you.
I think I'm sorry. I think I might have misunderstood. So we were all together previously.
That's correct.
Yeah. I was still working on the basis it was just me and Weimar.
Well, we did meet up once. Of course, I presume that afterwards we could have, made a plan, because we know where the find is now.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just my dodgy recollection of last session. That was all.
Yeah,
I think.
You did separate briefly, but you all met up again. But obviously, you're in no immediate sort of combat danger or anything like that. So we're purely in sort of like role play time now. So
Yeah. It's just I probably would have addressed the party as a whole rather than singling out.
No, that's no problem. We'll just assume that you spoke to the rest of the party as well. That's fine.
I was probably just blanking them.
Now, Brock, as someone who was raised with the superstition and the sort of dread of these humongous frost worms, how does your character react to literally like the shadow of death, as some of your people would see it, like directly flying over your position?
Well, he would have probably been sort of 5-10 seconds ahead of everyone else, just because he'd have heard or felt the change in temperature and that, and he would have disappeared at that point. You wouldn't have been able to see him, even though he's a bulky guy. He'd have found the nearest tree. And since the last time we heard it or saw it flying over, his attention is looking for the best place to hide for the whole group, and just listening and looking out. So, most of his attention is focused on listening out for this thing and thinking, well, if I hear it, we can get to there and we've got a chance of hiding. And when it, come over, he would have, pointed and tried to get people into cover and stuff, as best as possible. But that's almost his sole purpose at the moment. He feels that he needs to be trying to provide some sort of assistance to the group to keep them safe from it, because he's heard the horror stories, and luckily not actually encountered one.
Okay, lovely. So yeah, this should tell you something about the almost superstitious reverence and dread that the local Ice Walker tribes hold for this creature, that even someone like Brock, who as we've described, is a fairly sort of mountainous, like muscular figure, like knows how to look after himself. As soon as he became aware of this, he's been like constantly like keeping half an eye on the sky and another lookout for places to hide should it come back. So that should tell you something about the reverence and the dread that the local people feel for this creature. But after a few moments, it has passed overhead, you all slowly start sort of like creeping out of your various hiding places. As you sort of look to the northwest, you can just about make out its form sort of far in the distance. The speed with which it flew over was tremendous, to the point where like it sort of like bent some of the trees, these sort of like fairly sort of flexible thin pines, in the direction of its flight as it sort of zoomed over. But you all start slowly creeping out of your hiding place. You seem to be safe for the moment.
So I think we'll presuming that we want to. What do we want to do? Do we want to take some of this metal, take it to New Zealand, or
Is there enough of it though? Is it just like the sort of shards that have broken off of something and washed down the stream, or is it actually anything of substance?
It would depend on how long you want to spend sort of searching, because it is in like smaller chunks and fragments. But as you're sort of following the stream and you're sort of looking around, you can see it sort of dotted around. So you're probably right, Brock, that like smaller bits of it have sort of washed downstream from the mountains further north.
I would turn to Leopold and try and get his advice on whether he thinks there's a larger sort of quantity of it somewhere else, which is potentially where these bits have come from, and we should be looking there rather than collecting up the little scraps.
Well, this is this is a valuable material. All these small bits would soon add up if we were to spend a little bit of time, but it's also fairly easily gotten without much labor. We could just light up this fire so that we could rewarm our extremities, such as our feet and hands, and I'm keen to get some samples and see what we're dealing with, hence my suggestion of the fire. Now that the winged beast is passed.
And is there such a thing as different qualities, or is some mithril better than others, or is it once it's
no.
mithril?
Mithril is mithril, and if you were to mine it, you might need to. In a seam, you may come across impurities and things like that, but mithril is a pure thing. It's either mithril or it's not.
And obviously, Leopold, you would certainly know that the main benefit of mithril, once it's been refined, is that any metal items made of it tend to weigh roughly sort of half as much as the same item crafted from a lesser metal. And sort of like weapons tend to have like a keener edge. Armour tends to like turn aside blows a little better. But the main benefit is that it weighs a lot less. And obviously it maintains this sort of glimmering sort of silver sheen to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's it has many qualities, and I could regale you for some time, but I think we're definitely onto something here. I need to just confirm my suspicions that this is in fact true mithril, and well, I won't beat about the bush. I would relish the chance to get my hands on it. And with that, I will start constructing a small fire.
Yeah, not a problem. There's a bit of wood around. Obviously, it is snowing, so a lot of the wood that's around, like the spruce wood, etc., is quite damp. So
I will break it off the lower limbs of the standing trees as a true survivalist.
Splendid. Yep. So, and let's say it's not like your first rodeo out in the wilderness.
It is
so
not.
That's absolutely fine. I know you've got flint and steel and stuff like that. So it takes a little bit of time, but you do eventually get a small fire started.
Yeah. Well, let us take care of that. You've got more expertise in this this mithril you talk of, and I'll sort of take over this building of the fire and collecting of the wood.
Yeah, no problem. So Brock takes over building the fire, and within 10-15 minutes there's a small sort of fire crackling away.
Good. Once the heat source has been established, then I'll sort of take off my boots and probably be a good idea to take off like my trousers, and don't want to be getting any of that gear wet.
It's very
And
sensible.
yeah, get everything set for when I come out of the water, because one's got to be a little bit careful and head into the stream and see if I can get hold of some of this mithril.
Okay, so you start heading into the stream, and as you walk out onto the ice, you can see that the stream is pretty much frozen solid. Like I say, 'cause it's fairly sort of slow
right.
running, and it's fairly shallow. And obviously, we're heading into the cold of winter now, and you're in the sort of the raised areas where the temperature is lower anyway. So you put your feet on the ice. Obviously, you feel the cold sort of through the soles of your feet. And there is that sort of slight sort of like creaking sound, you get when you walk out on ice, but you think from the sort of feel of it, it's probably sort of like frozen all the way through.
Okay, so it's not going to be simple then. I'll head back. I'll get my pickaxe and I'll try and break out some ice, just with a view to getting a sample of the mithril. If it's so icy as this, then this is going to be no benefit. It's essentially like mining it out of the rock. Then there's nothing to be gained from getting it out of the river. But I'm looking just to get a sample for confirmation purposes at this point.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So you get out your miner's pick, you hack out a piece of this ice. Now, again, because it's a fairly sort of slight stream, it's not very deep, it's fairly shallow, and we're only just in the start of winter. As you sort of like go through the ice, it's like a bit more sort of like slushy at the bottom, so it's not like fully like frozen solid, but there's like a sort of thick layer of like solid ice, and then it's like slush down below, but enough to support your weight as you're walking across it. And I presume you're trying to like hack a bit with like a sample of this mithril in it.
Yeah. I'll find a bit and then go for that. Yeah.
No problem. It takes you a few minutes. You're a little bit sort of like flustered and a bit sort of hot and bothered by the time you've done it, because obviously it's physical work, but nothing you can't handle. And eventually you're rewarded with this piece of ice that you've hacked out, which has like a small nugget of this sort of blue-black unrefined mithril in it.
Yep, I'll take it over to the fire, set it nearby the fire, maybe just get out like a little my eating bowl or my drinking vessel or something like that, and set it near to the fire just so it can thaw out, so that we can see what we got, and warm up my feet.
Yep, you spend a few minutes warming your feet and sort of thawing out this small chunk of mithril, and after the ice has melted, you have like a couple of inches of water in your bowl, and there is this small nugget of this sort of silvery black mineral, which you know is the sort of colour of mithril in its unrefined state. You sort of experimentally like scrape the outer layer of it just to like check, and as you scrape it off, you can see that the sort of interior of it is a much brighter silver colour, and it leaves you in no doubts that it is indeed mithril.
Well, gentlemen, I think we have found what we are looking for. Obviously, the weather conditions make it somewhat tiresome to be panning for the mithril. My suggestion would be perhaps we look upstream, see see what gives. Perhaps like Brock was saying, we could find a richer source.
Can we see how far the stream goes before it sort of heads into the mountains, or is it sort of beyond sight?
Yeah, you sort of see roughly how far it goes. It sort of heads about sort of 5 or 6 miles before it really starts like getting into the mountains. Although because it's winding around it, basically about sort of 3-4 miles away, it sort of like jinks and runs into the sort of lower reaches of one of the mountains. Then it continues up into the heights of another mountain. So it jinks into the lower regions sort of here-ish, and then continues up into the heights of another mountain here.
See, we would have to find a seam. We'd be looking for a seam of this mithril to mine.
Well, let's go and have a look. See if we can at least find a scene.
Okay, so as you know, you can move 6 of the small hexes in a day. So feel free to move your player party token to where you want to go, and I'll tell you if anything happens along the way.
Do we know if there's any history of this being mined before?
Not as far as you're aware. Okay, so you guys are following the stream. However, when you get to here, as you're sort of following the stream, like I say, it jinks into the lower regions of the mountain to the northwest of it. And as you sort of look up the mountain, sort of set in the side of it, you can see what appear to be the remnants of a crumbling stone building.
Ooh.
Mm.
And has the mithril gotten any thicker or bigger in the river?
Not as far as you've seen. As you've been walking along, you've been keeping a lookout, obviously. You've seen the odd, like, small little nuggets and little flakes and stuff like that. But you've not seen any, like, big, like, ingots of mithril or anything like that. I mean, you suspect, given obviously you're a wilderness man, Malcolm, you would expect that given that this stream's fairly sort of shallow, it may not have the sort of the strength of the current to, like, bring big chunks of it down.
Okay.
When would we expect this water to thaw out a bit more and become more flowing?
Well, there's only 2 seasons in Valconan. There's summer and winter. It's a 12-month year. There's 3 months of summer. The rest is winter. We're in the first month of winter.
Ah, okay.
So it's going to be a long old while before it thaws out. I mean, occasionally you do get slightly warmer days, even in winter, where you expect it might thaw a bit. But by and large, you're talking like, I don't know,
9 months.
like 9 months, yeah, basically.
So we know but we know this is here, and in 9 months' time, there's going to be mithril for the picking off, basically.
Indeed, however, you do also know that the forts have been selling claims, so there's definitely other people who are interested in the mithril in this area. And you've met one of them, the dwarf Krosnon.
Indeed, yes.
So this building, are we talking about a sort of small hut or a tower or some sort of fortification? Or
as you're looking at it, it appears to be 2 small stone buildings. They're missing the sort of roofs. They appear to be like quite derelict, and they've obviously been here for quite some time. There's the remnants of a number of small stone walls. They're situated pretty much by the side of this small frozen stream.
and would I think it was construction or materials that like the ice walkers would use, or
It's very unlikely. The ice walkers tend to use more natural materials like furs, sort of whalebone, stuff like that.
okay.
It's Crofter's cottage is cleared out by the redcoats. That's what it is.
Do we think it's kind of farming in nature or military in nature? looking at what's left?
Difficult to tell unless you go and investigate closer. All you can really see at the minute from the distance you are is like these two sort of small stone buildings.
Should we go and check it out?
Yeah.
Okay. In which case, let me plonk your tokens down and I'll show you a map.
Did you say, John, there was any sort of roof cover if the weather turned particularly nasty?
Not on these buildings, no.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to move you over to the map and hopefully you guys will be able to see that when you're moved across.
Yep. Ooh.
As you get near it, obviously you're on the other side of the frozen stream. You can see what appear to be several large species of what almost look like prehistoric large birds sort of perched on the buildings, the walls. There's one on a tree. They don't appear to be paying you any particular mind at the moment.
We've not seen these type of creatures before. What about Malcolm? Malcolm, do you recognise these things?
Do I?
Roll me a d6.
One.
Okay, you think that these are creatures known as Archaeopteryx. They're a large sort of prehistoric dinosaur bird, effectively, but they are animals. They're not like evil creatures. They're just animals.
Okay.
But they obviously they can be dangerous because they're quite large for birds.
Okay. Useful pet.
It's like give a man a hammer and everything's a nail, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say, what hit dice of creature is it you can befriend?
5.
Oh yeah, I reckon these are.
Nah, you're out of luck.
Ooh.
Okay.
But yeah, they're sat around it and you can hear these loud sort of rasping caws and screeches from these birds as they're preening themselves. They occasionally take flight from the perch they're on to land somewhere else.
Are these trees around us, John?
They are, yeah.
So we've got a little bit of cover there.
This part in the middle, John, does that look like it goes somewhere, or is that just part of the map?
That's just part of the map, sort of heading up to the mountain.
Okay.
So we can't really get to these buildings without tangling with these guys.
But we could take a long route round to the left a bit.
Yeah.
Or
So if you come
Well,
over here and across.
We could. The ice was previously most sturdy. I had to bust out a pit to get through it. So I'm happy to trek out across the ice over to the west. Take a circuitous route.
I would suggest my people would always carry a rope in situations like this, so that if this ice was not as trustworthy as first thought, then we'd be able to at least pull you back out.
Yeah. Well, that seems wise. You're not as stupid as you look, clearly.
Won't be the first or the last to say that.
And to be fair, that's pretty much as near as you get to a compliment from Leopold, to be honest.
It is.
Well,
it is.
It's been said before, so
That's it. Make the most of it. Right.
Obviously,
Then I will...
you still have your retainers with you, Caroline, Dick, and Gordon.
I can't see Dick in the active party members.
Well, I'm going to tie myself onto this rope offered by Brock, wisely offered by Brock, and I'm going to head out onto the ice. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the dwarven ice shuffle at this point.
The famous dwarven ice shuffle.
Yes. And that is where you get your pack and you like lay it on the ice, and then you get like a kind of like a turtle. You assume the turtle position, and you like lay on your pack and you kind of, turtle across the ice, sliding on your pack.
Okay, that's fine. So move yourself to where you want to go to.
Yeah, I'm gonna first of all head to this little peninsula there.
Okay, roll me a d12.
I won.
Okay, so you get to here, and as you sort of get to that area, you hear like a, and you see like a small like network of cracks starting to spread out from the ice.
Okay, I'll lift up my hand in the universal signal to reel me back.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, I do it fairly slowly, not to cause any extra stress on the ice.
Oh, that's all right. In the dwarven turtle ice, the turtle whatever I fucking called it. I just shimmy back.
Yeah, it's not a problem. You reel Leopold back, and you can see sort of around about here, the ice appears to be like a little bit thinner, and there are cracks there.
Yeah. I feel it would not be wise for us to cross at this point. It's already breaking under my small amount of weight. If we were all to attempt to cross here, I feel it would be too much.
How about here? It's a little bit narrower.
Yes. Yes.
Is that an extra bit of land in between there, or is that just a...
I think so.
It's just actually snow on top of the
Oh,
ice.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Right. Well, I will once again assume the position.
Okay. Give us
Unless
another
anybody
D12.
else fancies a chance. Have we got a better idea or anything like that?
I can't think of a better idea than you going first, Leo.
That's right. Of course. The dwarven ideas are so often the best.
Indeed.
It's
The very
hard.
best of ideas.
Yes. And I will prove the point by heading out.
Okay, give me another D12 roll.
A
Okay,
10.
move yourself to where you want to go.
I luge across.
Indeed, you make it all the way across. There is a bit of sort of creaking and groaning from the ice, but it holds firm, and you soon sort of, you scramble up to the bank on the opposite side of the stream.
Ah, marvellous. I'll give the universal thumbs up sign. Untie the rope. Give the wind the rope in signal. This is all the signals is in order to not alert the creatures unduly.
Okay, I will go next.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to make rolls because Leopold's already found a safe path for you.
Oh, excellent. Told you he was good for something, lads.
There you go.
Obviously, there's been
So I get my Pathfinder badge.
There's been a fair bit of noise and creaking as you moved across, which has drawn the attention of a few of these Archaeopterysts, but they don't sort of like leap to attack or anything like that. They just sort of like hiss and make these like loud cawing noises.
Yeah, I might move myself into the tree cover and break out the crossbow and assume a defensive posture. Whilst to cover my companions as they cross the ice.
Okay. And what's Weimar doing while all this is going
on? Keeping an eye. I think he's gonna be supervising quite a bit. With bow at the ready, sort of rear guard action, as there's potentially some trouble that's gonna kick off if there's some agitation here. So he's sort of like sticking to the back, just letting the folks with the plan go ahead. This is like casually knocking an arrow. It's like, no worries. I'm just gonna.
No problems.
Just keeping an eye on things. Honestly, not really caring about whatever's going on with the group. More about like, where's trouble gonna jump off next?
Okay, no problems. So all of you, with the exception of Weimar, make it across the stream. Like I said, there's a bit of cawing and a bit of sort of flapping of wings from these Archaeopteryx, these prehistoric large dinosaur birds, but they don't spring to attack you or anything like that. What do you want to do?
Okay, in that case, I will head out to the left flank, the western flank there, and take up a position at this tree. And kind of like gesture to my companions, perhaps to move to the stairs. Just point the stairs of the building.
Okay, which I'll move to the stairs and bring Caroline with me.
Okay, as you sort of head up this quite sort of badly cracked and degraded stone stairs, must have once been sort of quite finely crafted, but obviously the exposure to constant cold and extremes of temperature has caused them to like badly decay. As you sort of head up and you're sort of peering into what must have once been like the first floor of this building, but obviously there's now no roof on it or anything like that, you can see sort of maybe 15 feet ahead of you as you're sort of looking across the floor. You can see what appears to be a spiral stone staircase leading downwards.
Sorry, I think I missed it. Did you still have the rope thing going as you crossed? Because
Yes.
I was thinking, we could have established like a rope here, between these.
Yeah, we could have done it. It was Brock was the rope guy.
Yeah, I would have definitely supported everyone coming across, but I think we'd sort of determined that it was safe enough passage that just having it on hand was enough rather than having to have an actual sort of almost zip wire across.
Right.
So probably would have been doing it manually, but I'll happily throw the rope across while you cross if you're looking to do that.
As long as we're on both sides, we might as well put the rope up. So if we have a rope, Weimar does as well. I think probably a good idea to have it there just in case we need to,
Yeah, if
exfiltrate.
if we're doing a quick getaway, we could do. Yeah, I'll temporarily sacrifice my rope. That's no problem.
Yep, doesn't take you long to secure the rope around a tree. You throw the coil of it to Weimar, who likewise fastens it around a tree on the opposite side. No problems with that.
I can't see you on the map, Brock.
I'm in between.
Oh, are you? You're under somebody, are you?
No, I'm in between the two.
2 spaces to your right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just can't see your name. Yeah, it's covered up by Gordon.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Oh yeah, I see your picture there now.
Yeah, I would be there. Just tying off the rope. Yep.
Okay, so assuming that we've come here to explore and not wanted to talk about it, I'm just going to kind of head forward and approach the top of the stairs.
Okay, yep, no problem. You head up to this flight of stone stairs, and it appears to head downwards into what you assume is maybe like a basement or a cellar of the building, sort of like probably below ground.
Okay, and now that we're closer, do we have any sense of what kind of building it must have been?
Not really, because everything's quite badly decayed. Although, sort of looking down the stairs, obviously the sort of downstairs area has been sort of more sheltered from the elements. So the stone staircase heading down, although the first few stairs are quite badly chipped and cracked, as you sort of like look down, you can see that the weathering effect is progressively less as the stairs lead down.
Okay. So I will head down the stairs then and see what I can see down below.
Okay, no problems. I won't move you onto the map yet, but as you head down the stairs, you can see what appears to be a long sort of flagstone corridor stretching ahead of you. Must be about 60 feet long, and then at the very end of it, to either side, are what look to be two sets of sort of double stone doors.
Okay. And is it heading north into the mountain, or is it
It's heading south.
south, so back under the river?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's only one passageway with two double doors on at the end, is that right? Okay.
That's correct.
So what does it smell like?
Okay, as you sort of head down, there's a strange sort of smell, an odd, almost like sort of floral or like fruity smell, like sort of slightly overripe fruit.
Okay. And how damp is it? The passageway, is it like really damp, or is it like kind of dry, or like do I think that the river might fall on into it or anything like that? Is there any leaks?
It's a little bit damp, but no more than you'd expect from like your normal level of like condensation. It doesn't feel like, you know, there's like a heavy amount of water in here or anything.
Okay. And then does the stonework look kind of like high quality? Not that I'm a stone mason, but
it looks pretty high quality. The floor is like laid flagstones. Some of them are a little bit cracked. Obviously, with your elven vision, you can see sort of far down the corridor. Like I say, it's all like obviously laid, neat flagstones. There's a few cracks from age, but it's been largely sheltered down here compared to the level up above.
okay. So what I'd like to do is start moving forward kind of slowly, testing each of the flagstones before I step on them fully, just to make sure that
No problem.
no
At this
problems.
point, I'm going to see if I can drag you over to the map. Boom, boom, boom. Well, I think what I'll do is I'll pull you all over to the map, although most of you might not be able to see anything, but let's see, pull all to scene here. There we go. So I'm afraid it might just go dark for some of you, but hopefully you should be able to see Malcolm when this loads up.
Is why am I heading over at the minute?
Weimar's stuck at 90% loading and he doesn't know where he is. But, yeah, I think
Use the force. Use the force, Weimar.
If it looks like people are going in, he's gonna.
I'll
take
be
the
waving. I'll be waving
Yeah,
at him
yeah.
to come across.
He's gonna be keeping distance, maintaining distance, and not being left behind.
Okay. I will cover your advance.
Okay, so what I think I want to do, John, is move off the middle
Okay.
and very slowly make my way up to about here, putting pressure on each flagstone before I step on it fully. And then I'd like to examine the door on the left.
Okay, you get to here. There's been no problems with the flagstones. Some of them are a bit cracked and irregular, but nothing untoward. However, roll me a d6.
One.
Okay, splendid. As you get to where I've moved your token to, you become aware of a slight sort of dripping sound. And as you sort of look to your left towards the centre of the passageway, you can see what appeared to be a few sort of drips coming down. At first you think, oh shit, is like the stream coming in. But then when you look, you can actually see these drips appear to be like a sort of orangey, like amber colour.
Okay. Okay. So if I take out a dagger and if I put my dagger into these orange drips, can I kind of sniff it and see what it smells like? Or
Okay, so you put your dagger in the orange drip, and as you do so, there is this sound from up above you, and as you will look up, you see this like amorphous blob of what looks like orange goo, basically sort of splatters down, like drops off the ceiling towards you.
well, fuck.
Okay, so let me just check this. Okay. Okay, so roll me a d6.
4.
Okay, you take 4 hit points of damage as this sort of orange goo like coats you, and you hear a hissing and a sizzling as it starts to eat into your equipment, like your armor and your clothing, almost as though it were acid.
Okay. Okay. Um.
I don't know if you give any response to that might alert your friends up above as to what's going on.
No, because of the birds. But what I definitely want to do is start moving back towards the stairs.
Okay, and just a quick question, did you take Caroline down with you?
No, I kind of left her up top.
Okay, no problem. So move yourself to where you want to go.
About here.
Okay, so you move yourself to there. Obviously this like orange goo is stuck to you, so
Oh, it's stuck to me, is it?
yeah, it's like adhered onto you.
Okay, and is it like a monster that's attacking me, or is it like a goo?
It's strange. I mean, obviously you're trying to sort of see it from the inside because you're like covered in it, but at first it looks like just like an orange sort of puddle of sludge, basically. But
Okay.
as you're sort of like you're moving around, and you're trying to like wipe it away from your eyes and but not having much look and trying to get a better look at it. You see occasionally the surface of it ripples, and what almost looks like malformed or sort of partially formed like body parts seem to like form briefly out of the slime before like falling back into it.
Okay.
And I'll remove the token just so you can see yourself, because we know it's on you.
Okay, cool. Okay, sorry, it's on me. So I think, yeah, so what I want to do is go back upstairs and find out, kind of make sure no one comes near me, kind of tell everyone to stay away from me, and then I want to try and roll in the snow and see if I can get it to come off me, whatever this goo is.
No problems. Let's just move back to the ruins map. And I'm going to see if I can tint your token so that we know that you've got this on you. There we go. Okay, so to the rest of you are about, you see Harp go down these stone stairs. He's down there for like a minute or two, no longer than that. And then he comes sort of like running back up the stairs, and he's like coated in this like thick, almost gelatinous layer of this like orange goo. You can see like a few small like wisps of steam coming out where like it's eating into his armor, his equipment, etc. And eventually his flesh, rather like acid.
So I think I want to come like over here, and I want to start rolling in the snow, trying to pull it off me.
Okay, not a problem. So you start rolling in the snow. Unfortunately, that doesn't really seem to have any effect on it.
Okay. Okay, so then I think I want to see how it reacts to fire.
Okay,
So I'd like to try...
but before you do that, obviously you've been rolling around in the snow a bit. The rest of you guys have seen this. What are you guys doing? How do you respond to this?
Is this something I've seen before? Is this a subterranean creature that has cropped up in mines and things?
It's not a creature that you're familiar with.
I assume that's the same for everyone. Okay.
A rare situation.
And again, as I described to Harp, you can get a better look at it because you're on the outside. As he's rolling around, occasionally you see like faces, hands, arms, but all sort of like very crudely formed, like sort of half sculpted, sort of briefly like rise to the surface of this orange goo, and then they just like collapse back and seem to dissolve back into the goo. Almost as though the creature was trying to sort of like make itself into something, but then was just like back into goo again.
Clearly sorcery at work.
Perhaps.
Well, I'm going to try and move over and see if I can assist with like a dagger, trying to sort of cut it away or something. Try and...
Okay, you try and sort of cut it away with your dagger. I mean, obviously feel free to move yourself across to where Harp is.
Okay.
You try and cut it away with your dagger, but it's rather like sort of cutting jelly. You do cut it, but then as soon as your knife comes out, it's just like back together again.
Okay.
Roll me another d6, please, Malcolm.
Ooh, 1.
Okay, luckily, since it seems to have been mainly sort of eating through your clothing rather than yourself, you only take 1 hit point of damage.
Okay. Okay, so what I'd like to do now, if it's okay, is to light a torch and try and burn it off.
Okay, yeah, you light a torch. Make an attack roll on it.
Well, as Malcolm's doing that, I'm going to suggest that maybe you could remove some of your clothing to make it, easier to and less dangerous. The torch to your own skin line.
Well, I guess I've dropped my weapons away so they don't get any more damage than they already are.
Indeed.
But it might remove some of it from you, so only like, I don't know, half of it's on you or something. I don't know.
As you're sort of applying your like burning torch to it, that does seem to be working. As you sort of hold the flame against it, this sludge sort of turns black and inert and begins to like slough off. There's still some of it on you, but you've like burnt like half of it away from you now.
Well, I shall assist then if I see that seems to be working.
Yep.
Get a torch and light it and try and help him as much as
possible. Attack roll.
Oh, okay. I'll just roll a d20 for now.
Yeah, that's fine.
If anybody's got a torch, have you got another torch there, Brock?
Yeah, I've got 6 torches.
You've hit it. Roll me a d6.
Okay.
It's not difficult to hit it. The unfortunate thing is, obviously...
Oh, only one.
Well, that's quite lucky, really, because since you're effectively hitting it with fire and it's on Malcolm, obviously Malcolm doesn't have this problem because he's himself. Malcolm would take half the damage that you've done, which obviously is nothing in this case. You've only done it 1 hit point of damage, but you do like burn a small sort of segment of this creature off.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, especially with that result, I'm trying to do it as sort of carefully and cautiously.
That's it. You've just sort of like found like a sort of edge bit that's like on the edge of his armor, and you just like singe that off with like a tss. And again, the sort of goo appears to like almost sort of like crisp up and turn sort of black, like burnt bread, and then that segment of it just like falls off into the snow, seemingly inert.
Cool. Can I try again to get the rest of it?
You can indeed, however, since this is effectively a new round, you'll need to roll me a d6 first. Okay, you take 2 hit points of damage from the acid.
Okay, and then I will. 10.
Yep, you burn away the rest of this orange sludge, and now there's just like a pile of this charred sort of black mess next to you.
Okay.
I'll clean off any with the torch on any of the weapons that Malcolm dropped previously, and just sort of clean up the situation while
no
he's
problem at
checking
all.
himself over.
Okay. What a
sort-
bizarre creature.
What sort of state is he looking in now? In terms of his clothing and that?
Well, it's mostly sort of like surface damage, like a bit of sort of like pitting on his leather and any sort of metal stuff he's got. Like some of his furs will be looking a little bit threadbare, but it's mostly cosmetic damage, to be honest.
Okay. No concern survival wise, or he's not exposed to the elements or anything like that?
No, you think if it had been on him for like a good deal longer, that would have been an issue. But obviously, he got out fairly quickly, and you burnt it off fairly quickly. So it's just like, yeah, okay, he might want to replace some of his furs at some point, but they'll do for now. As long as you're not like caught in a blizzard or anything, he's going to be fine.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Lucky.
Indeed. Watch the ceilings when we go back down. And with that, I will step back down the stairs.
Okay.
And I suggest that someone goes with him this time.
Anyone else going?
Do we feel that we need to leave anyone up top to keep an eye on these creatures?
Not really. They're not going to fly down the stairs, are they?
I don't think so. But
No.
So
No need to leave the bird food out.
Okay, in which
Is
case,
everyone in?
yeah, I'll move you all down. Just take me a moment to add your tokens on when it's loaded.
Everyone into the acid caves.
Everyone in the pool.
Yay.
I guess that's everyone bring torches this time.
Well, as I've got mine lit, I will have a good inspection of the ceiling as we walk down the stairs.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a light, but I haven't got torches. I've got a lantern, and I didn't think you'd appreciate me dousing you in napalm and setting light to it.
No, probably not.
Okay, so as I've described, you see this long flagstone corridor, and near the sort of end of it, on either side, are sets of twin stone doors. Obviously, like you say, now sort of forewarned, you're all sort of like keeping an eye out and looking up. You don't see on the ceilings any more of this like orange sludge.
Okay, so I'll come up to where I was before, and then I guess I would want to examine the door from just much closer to it.
Okay, it appears to be a set of fairly sort of thin but like sturdy stone doors. There doesn't appear to be like a lock on them or anything.
Okay.
It looks like you could just push them open.
Okay, and is there any light coming out through the door, or any kind of keyhole, or any?
No, although as you're sort of like looking around the door, you notice that sort of like as you're sort of like looking around like the crack at the bottom of the door and stuff like that, that sort of overripe fruit smell I was describing is like stronger nearer the door.
Okay. And if I move across to the other side near Leo, do I get the same sense that? Okay. Which door do you want to open first, Leo?
I'm just wondering about this overripe fruit smell. What is that conjuring up?
Is this all undisturbed down here? Does it look like there's been any foot traffic or any?
You can't see any signs of recent foot traffic now.
No.
Overripe fruit.
But it's not a rotten smell, is it? It's quite a sweet.
Yeah, it's very sort of sweet and sickly smelling.
It's not like it's rotten fruit or something that's been here for a long time.
Could that be a dangerous gas? Do I know that to be like a mining gas or anything like that?
It could be, however, given that the staircase is open to like the elements above, you expect the chance of like there being like a gas build up here. Because obviously the doors aren't airtight. You expect the chance of there being like a gas build up is fairly low here.
Okay. Then let's advance. Have you got a preference, Malcolm?
No. They both smell the same. So
Obviously, you haven't heard anything from either direction, so.
Well, maybe just go in where you're standing.
okay. So I'll push the door open kind of relatively softly.
And I'll give you some cover from here.
Okay.
So you push the door open and you can see into a large stone chamber beyond. However, the walls and much of this room appear to be encased in what looks like a sort of amber or orange coloured crystal, which is indicated by the orange area on the map. And within that crystal, you can see what appear to be a large statue and a number of sort of tables with various things on them. However, what strikes you is when you look at the tables that are inside of this orange layer of crystal, you can see that on the tables are like items of food, like there's like a chicken drumstick, a fish, some vegetables, and they all appear to be perfectly preserved.
Okay.
That Colonel gets everywhere, doesn't he? Jeez.
That's it. Can't stop him. His finger licking
Can't
good.
stop him. Wow.
If we're looking at these coins and the armaments, do they look modern? Modern is not the right word, but they look contemporary.
No, they look very old.
Okay.
However, since you guys said you were keeping an eye on the ceiling, in this chamber you can see there's another one of these orange goo sort of pools that appears to be like stuck to the ceiling.
Okay.
It doesn't appear to be moving though. It's just like it's like almost like it's been plastered onto the ceiling, and occasionally there's just like a little drip.
Did you say you had oil, Leo?
Yes, I have some lamp oil here.
Should we throw some oil on this blob and set it alight?
It's on the ceiling. If you think you can do that, you can. I'll just toss you the flask.
I wonder what we actually want to do is try and get it to fall down, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to be a little bit tricky trying to get that. Get your napalm on the ceiling there.
Have you got something you could tempt it with? Tempt it down? Maybe it's not clever enough to. realise.
How tall is the ceiling?
The ceiling is about 20 feet.
Okay,
Would,
so it's
would you
proper
think?
tall.
Would you think? Made it attack you, Malcolm? If in fact it attacked you, I mean, it seems like it was coming to life. It had almost like a
Yeah.
well, a personality, so to speak, a kind of a conscience.
So here's an idea. I could light an arrow, dip it in some oil, set it alight, and shoot the creature and see if the fire did it damage and if that caused it to drop onto the floor.
Yeah, you could.
So if it's okay, John, I think I'll try that. I'll try and shoot it with a burning arrow.
Yep, make an attack roll. Okay.
Is that 15?
Yep, that's absolutely fine. So you hit a small exposed portion of the orange slime with your burning arrow, and a small part of it again crisps and goes black and drops down. There's like a sort of hissing noise, almost like an expellation of air or gas from this thing, and indeed it goes
Okay.
and drops down onto the floor.
Okay.
Did we get a bunch more of that rotten fruit smell when we opened this door? Is that emanating from somewhere else?
The rotten fruit smell seems the sort of, well, it's not rotten fruit, but the sickly sweet smell
Overripe.
appears to be coming from the orange crystal.
Okay. So what I think I want to do is come over here and hit this thing with my torch now that it's on the floor and try and
Okay,
finish it off. Oh. Somehow I managed to miss it.
No, that's fine. You still hit it.
Okay.
Okay, so you hit this creature, and again, another portion of it turns black and falls inert. However, in response, it literally like flows over you, engulfing you. Roll me a d6.
5.
You take 5 hit points of damage as this acid starts eating into you. What are the rest of you guys doing?
My
Saving me.
head
Saving
in
me.
my. It's like, oh no! What is she? No, enough with the jelly stuff, man. What is it? What is up with him?
Can I
You can't
toss
get
my
enough of
grappling
it.
hook in? Try and drag him back out.
Yep, you throw your grappling hook in, and you indeed pull Malcolm towards you. However, because he's coated in this slime, it goes with him because he's covered in it, and it's like stuck to him. Again, I'll remove the token just so we know it's on Malcolm. So
Yeah.
Has he still got his torch going? Have you still got your torch going, Malcolm?
I do.
Leo's waving to the group. Bring the torches! Bring your torches! Malcolm's got himself in a pickle again.
Well, last time I was potentially injuring.
No, don't worry about that.
okay, so Brock, you move up alongside Weimar. You can see he's just like winched in. Malcolm effectively is like covered in this orange goo that's eating away at his clothes and his flesh.
Okay. And I'll ask Malcolm, do you want me to try and burn it off as I'm
Yes,
waving
please.
the torch towards him?
Okay, so you ask him if you wanted to burn it off, and from inside the goo, you hear.
I'll try and attack it with this torch I got lit then.
Okay, yeah, you've hit.
D6, wasn't it?
That's right.
5.
Okay, so you take 2 hit points of damage from that, Malcolm. And you've nearly burnt the thing off. There's just like a tiny patch left on Malcolm. Is there anyone else who's not gone who wants to do anything? Obviously, you've got your hirelings as well, don't forget.
Sure, Carmine can have a go. Try and get rid of it.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Hits.
4 points of damage.
Okay, so you take 2 hit points of damage. However, that does burn off the remainder of the creature. And again, you're left standing there with like these charred, sort of almost rubbery, like inert bits of this burnt creature lying around you.
Okay. I told you that was a terrible idea, Leo. I don't know why you made me do that.
It's a little bit more maneuverable than you expected.
Okay, maybe we can look into that room later.
Do you think it's got something to do with this crystal? Have I seen this crystal before, John, in my travels?
It doesn't look familiar to you now.
Is the crystal and the goo the same orange colour that we think they're related, or
The crystal is slightly lighter in coloration than the goo. However, they are a very similar colour.
okay?
However,
Yeah.
Brock, you can roll me a d6.
Okay.
I think there's a relationship.
4.
Brock, you vaguely remember sort of hearing like ancient stories about sort of ancient sites that were sort of like preserved against the ravages of time, but you don't know if it's connected to this.
But who would I? Well, do I know who would have preserved them or how?
Well,
Is it some
you,
sort of
you know, from
dark magic or?
obviously these are like the old legends that like your sort of tribal elders would have told you, and you know that it's believed to be that some of the ancient mages like preserved the Senna as they were known, like the ancient Valkonan mages, the ones that are reputed to have like brought the Great Ice Age down, had strange ways of preserving their materials, their places of power against the ravages of time.
Without, I'm going to back off from that. That looks like it could be some foul magic. Well, people have rumored people have preserved items. No, I don't want anything to do with that. And he's going to back off.
Can I touch the crystal with a gloved hand to see if it's soft or hard?
You touch the crystal and it seems solid, it's hard. You obviously you're touching it with a gloved hand, you don't take any harm from touching the crystal or anything like that. But in the area you're in, just beyond the sort of surface of it, you can see this statue that appears to show a nude, attractive, androgynous person who is obviously of elven descent. However, they have like sort of slightly animal-like features and horns, and on the base of the statue, in elven, is carved the folly of the Senna.
Oh. Okay. And how tall is the statue?
The statue would be quite tall, however the person is like crouched down. It's about 3 times the size of a normal person, so if it was stood up it would be massive, but like I say, it's sort of like crouched down as though like kneeling, maybe in prayer or contemplation. But it also has like so these animal like features and these horns, it also reminds you a bit of like, you know, like a predator sort of getting ready to spring.
Okay.
But you can't really make out all of the details because it's like under these layers of orange crystal.
Looking at all the stone and like just the general handiwork of the construction of the place, does that seem consistent with the statue? Does this look like?
Yeah, very much so, and the workmanship is extremely fine down here. I mean, luckily, like I say, most of it down here has been sheltered from the elements, so even though there's like a few cracks on the cobbles and whatever, you can see that like the walls are good and sturdy and solidly constructed. It looks as though like either someone was a very fine craftsmanship or they paid someone a pretty penny to like have this constructed, and presumably before it sort of fell into rubble and dereliction, the upstairs building was equally as magnificent.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And if I look over here at this kind of treasure trove, for want of a better expression, how big does that look? Is it
Okay, as you're looking at it, you can see it's a large sort of working table, like workbench, effectively. There is a large pile of silver coins on the table, and there is a slightly smaller pile of gold coins on the table, but it is all encased with this orange crystal.
Okay. And if I'm looking at the weapons, do any of them look like particularly fine, or are they just kind of rusted and...
Well, they all look to have been perfectly preserved. None of them look to be anything particularly special. However, with the exception of there is a single sword with a sort of striking, like, dark blue pommel, which appears to be like slightly more ornamental than the rest of the sort of, which is your average everyday weapons.
Okay.
And you can see as you sort of peer at it, you can just about make out that sort of etched onto the blade. You think probably an elven, or it's like a word or two, but you can't really make it out because of the distortion and the colour of the crystals.
Okay. Okay. Should we check the other room?
Well, it might be an idea to find out what's in there so that we can make a more informed decision about this area, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's heading over there?
I'll open the door again.
So Brock's a bit freaked out by this stuff in crystal then.
Malcolm, grab this hook, will you?
Yeah, Brock's.
case.
You can definitely tell that he's pretty nervy, but he's trying to cover it up, but he's not very good at it. He's quite anxious, so he's backed up the corridor. He's still keeping an eye on people and what's happening, but he don't seem keen to go near that room.
Okay, so Malcolm, as you push the stone doors open, obviously you like look up at the ceiling, taking all due, but you can't see any sign of more of this like orange goo. Again, in this room, you can see most of it appears to be coated in a similar orange crystal. You can see what appears to be a leather armchair, a work desk with some sort of book on it. There's another desk directly opposite you, which appears to have like a pile of gems on a work table. There's what looks to be some sort of globe over here, and sort of pinned to the wall is what appears to be like a large sort of table at like a 45-degree angle with some sort of map on it.
Okay.
All of it perfectly preserved and encased in this sort of amber orange crystal.
Okay. So if I walk over, and I look at the table, can I see what the book is, or can I read any of it, or?
You can't really make out the words because of the distortion of the crystal.
Okay.
But again,
because
like everything else, it looks perfectly preserved. It could have just been left here yesterday.
So because of the success I've had with the goo, I'd like to try and hold a torch up to the crystal and see what happens.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You hold a torch up to the crystal and it doesn't appear to have any effect.
Okay.
Hmm.
And if I try and walk through the crystal or push into the crystal, does it do anything?
It doesn't yield. It feels solid as you try and sort of push on it.
And then I don't know if this is just the map thing, or whether some of those crystals are available to pull out of the crystal, or the gems.
No, they're not. They're inside the crystal.
They're fully inside. Okay.
So there was some elven script on this statue.
Yes, there was.
Was it legible?
Yeah. Because it's like quite near to the edge of the crystal, so there's not as much distortion and the text is bigger.
Did you try reading this yet, Malcolm?
I did. It said the folly of the Senna.
Oh yeah, the folly of the Senna. Wonder what that is. What is the folly of the Senna? Any theories?
I suspect that it's a creature that they made
Mm.
and perhaps tied to the creature that haunted them and caused their downfall.
Do you think that that creature is the folly of the sinner then? The creature represented in the carving?
I think so. I think it would make sense that was the plaque on the statue, and it was a statue designed to remind whoever lived here of the mistakes that the Senate had made.
Would you've not heard of the folly of the sinner?
No.
Isn't folly another word for a building though, as well, or something?
Well, it's an kind of thing. It's like it's a building that's done. What's the word? Frivolously. It's like a frivolous building.
A folly is basically a building that's built just for the point of having the building. It doesn't have any purpose beyond that, like a practical purpose.
Yeah.
Any thoughts for how we might get through this crystal? This book might give us an awful lot of information about the folly of the Senate.
Yeah, I mean, I could have a go at it with a pickaxe, but I was trying to avoid that.
How high does it go, John?
All the way up to the ceiling.
Okay, so it's the whole way 20 feet. Okay.
And you can't see anything. It's obscuring the view of the.
You can sort of make out the general shape of things, but unless something's particularly big, like the statue, because it's multiple layers of crystal, it's difficult to make out precise details.
Yeah, so I think the book is the.
Yeah. Weimar, do you want to ask your sword if it has come across this crystal before or has any knowledge of this encasement?
Ask it about the folly of the sinner.
That too.
So, hand on the hilt.
Okay.
Does any of this jelly or these crystals mean anything to you? Is this something that is familiar?
And as Weimar says that, again, as the sword speaks through him, obviously all you guys hear the sword's voice coming out of Weimar's mouth. And he says, well, I can't claim to know anything about that goo or these creatures, but obviously the Senna were the mages that ruled ancient Valconan before and they were the ones who were blamed for bringing the Great Ice Age down on the world. I've heard the phrase "folly of the Senna," but I've always heard it referred to as the bringing of the Ice Age rather than any sort of beast. I'm afraid I don't really know what this crystal is, though.
And there we have it.
Can I try a bit of water from the water skin and see if that has any impact on it?
Yep, you splash some water on it. It appears to have no effect whatsoever. Weimar, can you roll me a d6? Oh, nice. Okay, so obviously you notice as you take the sun sword out, obviously we know it sheds sunlight, hence it's the sun sword. You notice that so some of a bit of the crystal that's sort of like nearest to you, so sort of like here, see as the sort of like the sunlight coming from the sword hits it, the crystal appears to just like dissolve and like melt away to nothing.
Whoa. What? I'll hold it out and sort of like step in.
Yep, you unsheath the sun sword. It sheds this sunlight in a wide area, and as you do so, there's a slight sort of like hissing noise, and the crystal starts to just like almost like evaporate as you stand there.
Okay. Good thing, bad thing, any any opinions?
Bring it over here till we see what's in this book.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. You can certainly do that. And as you stand there for several minutes, the rest of this crystal, once exposed to sunlight, melts away. And as you move over Harp to look at the book, you can see that it's again written in Elvish. Most of it's very well preserved. Like I say, it could have been left here yesterday. Most of the text is bizarre, arcane formula and sort of gushing praises to the power and wisdom of the golden age of the Senna. Obviously, none of the arcane stuff means anything to you. However, it's just sort of like flipping through it. Later, the book takes a noticeably dark turn, and the final entry reads, "How could we have possibly known? We knew that the creature below the ice could not be allowed to waken lest it serve as an entryway to the children of the First World. My superiors believed that what they were doing was right, but they couldn't have predicted the cataclysmic consequences for the rest of Valconen. Myself and my apprentice have been working with the other Senna to try and find a way to protect the inhabitants from the coming winter until the enchantment passes. I know there are others working on different plans. I've heard that the Druun intend to seal off a portion of Valconen and shunt it to another place where winter will be banished, but that seems like purest folly. There are even rumours that some of our Brotherhood have turned to the Firstborn to protect themselves from the catastrophe, but surely that must be just rumour. I've been in touch with some of our brethren on the Southern Island outpost. Decadent though those Sipopa addicts may be, there is no denying that their drug does have startling magical properties. I have arranged to have some shipped over to me in the hope that myself and my apprentice can fathom a way out of this mess." And the final line reads, "Already people are talking of abandoning our home."
Okay. So I'll put that into my bag for our sage.
Yeah, no problems.
And I guess I will have a look at the map.
Okay, so you head over to have a look at the map, and it appears to be a map showing the northern and southern parts of Valconen. Most of the sort of like the villages and obviously like more modern sort of occurrences aren't on there. However, you recognise sort of like the mountain ranges, the rivers, the coastline shape, etc.
Okay.
It also appears to mark the location of 3 Senna sort of places of power or strongholds on it. So what I'm going to suggest is I'm briefly going to shunt us onto another map. Now this might take me a couple of moments, so bear with me. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to move you all over to this map. And you can see what appears to be a map of the area immediately to the north of the map that you're currently exploring. It shows the Great Glacier sort of here stretching around. You can see a couple of mountain ranges. There's mountains within the Great Glacier, and you can also see a coniferous forest. Now, as I've said, there are 3 Senna places of power noted on this map. So
Sorry, I can't see it. Can anyone else see it?
Oh, let me see if I can.
Darkness.
Let me see if I can. There was something wrong with the config. Let me just see if I can Change that.
I'll bring the sun sword closer.
That's it.
It's not working.
There.
Okay, hopefully you guys can see that now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, obviously, on this sort of ancient map, you wouldn't be able to see like the two forts, which are sort of modern inventions. However, you guys pretty much know where they are in relation to where you've been exploring, so you can sort of like work out where they are on the map. Now, as I've said, there are 3 center places of power that are sort of marked on the map, and I'm going to ask you guys to decide where these places of power are. Entirely up to you guys.
So anywhere on this particular
Yeah,
map.
anywhere on this map. Although I will say, if you wish, you can put 2 on this map and 1 on the southern map, which is the area you're exploring at the minute. And when you go back to that sort of main map, the rest of that map will now be revealed, because you've effectively got like a big map of the whole area.
I was going to say, wait, these forts are, let me zoom in. So Fort Hawk and Fort Iblis. Okay, so these are like forts number 3 and 4.
That's correct, yeah.
So if we can toss one on the other map, how do you guys feel about either in Fort Eastburn or the Witch Isle for the center place of power?
Now, obviously, I would suggest you put it somewhere you've not been, because obviously you've not noticed it.
Yeah, I was thinking like a buried site.
Yeah, that's fine.
On either of those.
Well,
I wonder, would you put one in one of these 2 forts, or this fort is built in the on top of the way they built all the cities on top of previous
Also
cities
a good
and stuff
option.
like that.
wouldn't they have noticed it though?
Well, I guess depends on what these places are, because we don't know really.
No, we don't know why the fort's
Yeah.
there.
Because it might be just there's a cairn, and they're like, well, it's a stone.
Yeah.
Because they don't know.
I was going to say the first place that sprung to mind is like, I imagine these guys having a place like an observatory up on top of one of these mountains where they can view the heavens and sort of get closer to the mysteries of the universe. So I was thinking they'd probably have something out on like the biggest mountain. Just because that seems like a scholarly wizardy thing to do. But beyond that,
Okay, so the suggestion's sort of like here-ish on one of the big mountains.
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. That's the first thing that just entered my head when I saw them presented like that.
Okay, that's fine. So what I'll do is I'm just going to draw a very quick sort of X. Obviously, I'll put a proper thing on there later on, but I'm just going to draw like a...
I'm getting that sort of planetarium vibe going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like out of the Dark Crystal.
It's a giant orrery in the
Yeah,
mountaintop.
yeah.
Well, like Ogra in the Dark Crystal.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so... So there we go, I've put a red X on there. So you've got 1 more to place on this map, and then you can put 1 on the southern map.
I kind of like the idea of it being under the fort or under a fort.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like having one somewhere in the vicinity of one of these forts.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
So are we feeling that on this map or the other one?
You're basically saying the fort was put there to protect a site, or potentially?
It could have just
I
been
think
built on the
secure it.
ruins of...
Yeah, on
Yeah.
the ruins of probably, I'm thinking, because these are old, very old things that would probably have been deserted and broken anyway. So it would be a newer construction. On
So
top
they
of the
rebuilt
old-
on top of it almost.
Yeah.
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 And it feels like the most northerly one.
Yeah.
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 So that would be what, Iblis here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
For Iblis, okay.
So maybe they had like their whatever their structures is. Maybe there's like a tower ruin remnant that they took as this looks like a fort site.
Okay, so you've got one to put on the main map that you guys have been exploring. So I'm just going to move you over to there. Cue the atmospheric music.
Oh, it's it's looking highly unusual for me.
Right, it's looking, yeah. It's like there's only 6 or 7 hexes.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm about to clear all of that off anyway.
Okay.
It's funny though. There's 7 seemingly random hexes, but you can still see the dragon.
You can always see the dragon. Okay, so you've now effectively got a map of the whole area that you're exploring. So hopefully you should be able to see all of it now.
Right.
And the treasure map was up here somewhere, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So do you think these things would have been roughly equally spread out for some reason, or what other significant reason would they be at a location other than the fort one we've already discovered? You think they'd be like in a triangle sort of, do you know what I mean, a sort of equally or roughly equally spread?
That would put the third one somewhere here in the glacier, I guess.
Is there any reason would that make sense? I'm not sure.
What do you think about like a foresty type, like a living tree or something kind of over here in the west?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's about as far as I go.
So, do we know what the deal with the Druun is? Like, are they Senna or are they competing?
It would seem there's some sort of, from what you've read, it would seem that they're like a faction of the Senna, but also you don't really know anything more about them.
Right. Okay. So, well, maybe we're gonna run with what Rob is saying, and there's like a different faction of the Senna who maybe they had like a world tree going on in the west.
That's fine. So
Like some giant, incredibly like vital tree.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll put one there over in the western forest, and like I said, obviously I'll put sort of proper icons for these on the map ready for next session. But that's what you guys see on the map. So I'm going to return you to the basement map.
Okay. Yeah. Is the globe the same? Is it? Is it the same map basically, or
The globe is basically the same map. However, it does show other land masses. You know that one of them is Rohaleen, obviously where you all come from, and then further to the south of Rohaleen there are some other land masses that you don't recognise.
Okay.
I'd say that globe's got to be valuable, man.
Yeah, I think so. Is it big, John? Like, we have a wagon. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll just.
I mean, like one person could carry it. I mean, you're not going to be running while you're carrying it, but you could easily carry it to your wagon.
Okay. Cool. And then, do we want to just grab up these gems, Weimar, and then you might help me get this shiny sword with the elven script on it?
Yeah. What's on the table?
Okay. So I'm just writing down all the stuff you've already piked. Okay. So,
I
on
think Leopold's going to have a little sit in that chair. It looks quite.
it's actually well comfortable.
Yeah,
it's
he's going to sit there.
It's like a comfy, like reclining, like leather armchair. It looks a bit battered, but again, it's well preserved. But it's obviously been like used a lot. But yeah, it's very comfortable.
So I'm going to bust out my.
It's even got the ass groove of the previous occupant.
Yeah, I'm Oh, that adds so
That
much.
Santa groove.
Yeah, I'm gonna bust out my pipe. And I'm gonna.
Yeah, so the smell of
Yeah.
old Dobie wafts up into the air.
We could probably take the chair and get a good price for it at one of the forts.
Well, I'm taking a liking to this chair, so I'm in favour of that idea. I think
But
Yeah,
we'll see about that.
You guys have got a cart if you want to take the chair.
Yeah.
it's proper comfortable. Weimar, I can tell you, we don't want to be leaving this bad boy behind.
Yeah, and we need to be paying the sage. And
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
going to take a couple chairs. Then,
Couple of
so be it.
chairs, yeah. This old dusty ass book and a globe should see us right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see him
So-
being all about the dusty ass globe and chair.
Yeah, we're going to start a furniture business.
Okay, so as you're looking on the table, you can see there is a pile of gems on there, 5 gems to be precise. There is an eye agate and some brown jasper, each of which is worth 50 gold pieces. There is a piece of green moss agate, which is worth 100 gold pieces, which has this sort of like mossy green look to it, hence the name. There is a piece of white jade and a black jet, both of which are worth 500 gold pieces.
Whoosh.
500 total, so. Is that right? Yeah. Nice.
Okay. So is there equipment like is it on graphic, or is it the gems mainly on the table?
It's just the gems on the table, really.
Yep. Good. Okay. Well, everyone, I'll take a quick look in the other room. And hold out the sword, walk in, sword forward.
Yep, no problem. As the sword sheds sunlight, again the orange crystal melts away at the touch of the sunlight.
Okay. Can I see what the script on the blade says?
You now most certainly can. And as you look at this blue pommeled blade, you can see it has the elven word for... It's the elven word that means like respect or honouring. It sort of does double duty, but it's like in sort of fanciful, like curled script, like acid etched into the blade.
Okay. And if I pick it up, is it finely made and does it look elvish in
It's
nature?
very finely made, and it does look to be elvish in nature.
Okay. Cool. So I think I'll take that if nobody minds, and see how it works. Since my own is covered in acid goo.
Indeed. And I will put that on your... Since I've got a thing for that, I'll put that on your character sheet. There we go. The Sword of Respect has now been added to your character sheet.
Is that respect with a K?
No, it's RESPECT. Find out what it means to me.
Just a little bit.
Okay, obviously you can see the statue in more detail, and on the table that had the coins on, you can see there is a pile of 800 silver coins and a smaller pile of 100 gold coins.
Couple of days' wages for the sage.
Yeah.
That'll get him a brunch.
Yeah, that'll get him out of bed.
Yeah. He don't get out of bed for less than 100 GP, man.
I mean, we're in the wrong business, guys. we need to get smart and just,
Get that mithril out of the river.
Also, Malcolm, if you'd like to roll me 1d6.
3.
Okay. You also find, as I mentioned, there's perfectly preserved food here. There is 3 days worth of rations on the sort of 2 tables to the south of you. Various vegetables, fresh fish, chicken. Delicate mix of 11 herbs and spices on it.
Okay, nice.
Is it in like a little bucket?
Yeah, in a little cardboard bucket.
You hear in the distance some marching band music. Military wafting.
What's the air?
That's it. It's got some Uncle Sam's sauce on it.
Okay.
I think we start moving out the gear at this point.
Yeah.
Lifting out the chair.
Okay, so just to make sure I've
The
got this
globe.
correct, you've taken the Senna book, the map, the globe, the chair, the gems, the sword, and the money.
Yeah.
I think so. I think the desk might be a bit too much.
So that Leopold, like, I've always fancied a nice writing desk.
Yeah, I'm just gonna draw the line at
Get
the chair.
it on
though.
the fucking wagon.
Okay.
Where is the wagon? Just
I'm
up-
guessing we've left it just across the river.
Yeah, basically. You wouldn't have taken the wagon across the stream.
Nah.
But yeah, we are going to try and bring the chair over it.
That's only a chair. That's all right. That's all right. It's probably flat pack. Just need one of them little Allen wrenches and we'll break it down.
No, IKEA chairs now, like ancient.
Ancient technology.
Yeah.
That's it.
The knowledge of the ancients. Back in those days of old when they knew how to make flat pack furniture.
I see IKEA now. They made a little lamp in the design of their Allen key, their little sort of S-shaped Allen key. They've immortalised it now as a lamp that you can get, an IKEA lamp, to mark the anniversary of that little Allen wrench. There you go. Little snippet of useless information for you.
Okay, so what's the plan, guys?
We're going to grab the chair and head out.
Okay, let's move back onto the other map then. It's not a problem getting the stuff out.
Okay. So then I guess we just kind of head back across and...
Yep, you've got the rope set up. Again, there's a bit of coring from the Archaeopteryx, but they don't attack you or anything like that. And you make your way back to where your wagon is. So I'll move us back onto the world map.
Those Archaeopteryx, they're like them dinosaur birds, aren't they?
Yes.
Or like, yeah, the colourful, well, they're portrayed as colourful.
Yeah, they're the ones. Sort of halfway between bird and dinosaur.
Yeah, getting on for a chicken.
Yeah. Okay. So you return back to your wagon, laden down with all the stuff you brought out of the sort of center basement, like chairs, globes, etc. So obviously with the help of your hirelings, you load it all up onto the wagon. It's not a problem. Obviously your teamsters have been like waiting with the wagon.
And then I think we're just going to head on the next 3 miles and see if we can reach the end of the river and find Mithril.
Okay, you get to the end of the stream, sort of heading up into the sort of heights of the mountains, and then it disappears underground. Along the way, obviously, you've been picking up bits of mithril as you've been sort of like moving along the way. Like Leopold's been sort of keeping a careful sort of eye on the old mithril stakes. With all the bits and pieces you've managed to like collect as you've been moving along, you would estimate you've managed to get about £1/4 worth of mithril. Now you reckon, Leopold, with your sort of knowledge of metalworking and stuff, that's worth like a good 600 odd coins of anyone's money. Easy, like in its unrefined state.
Nice, yeah. I'll relay this information to the group. Yes, it's this is proving to be quite productive.
When we reached the end of the river, was there any sign of the vein? No.
No. But like I say, the stream sort of disappeared underground, so... And you're pondering this matter and how you might go about extracting more of the minerals, when you hear from further up the mountain, you hear the unmistakable crack of a black powder firearm being discharged.
Okay. Did our friend have a black powder pistol?
The dwarf you met previously?
Yeah.
Yes, he did, yeah.
Okay. I think our mate might be in trouble. Should we go and help him?
Can we estimate how far it was?
It's probably going to take you about maybe half an hour if you move quickly to get there, to roughly where you think it came from, but it's difficult to know exactly because the sound echoes around the mountains.
We probably should investigate, because if nothing else, it could represent a threat to us as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he weren't exactly the most helpful fellow, but...
No, well, we should work together.
Yeah, wouldn't want to see him come. But hopefully we can get there in time.
Okay, so you run in the direction... Well, you drive your car as quickly as you can in the direction of the firing. Darren, can you please make me a D6 roll?
Yep. That would be a 2.
Okay, no problem. So you travel roughly in the direction you think the sound was coming from, and eventually in the distance you spot what appears to be smoke rising from like just beyond the rise of the mountain ridge that you're travelling through. So black smoke, and you can smell like the faint smell of like burning wood.
Is that a sizable fire from the amount of smoke?
Yeah, it must be a fairly substantial fire.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna sort of run ahead if the wagon ain't going fast enough, just to get a quick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the wagon's having to like pick its way around stuff, whereas if you're on foot, you can move fairly quicker, especially with your knowledge. So you jump off the wagon, go into a bit of a sprint, and as you run round the next rise, you see what appears to be the remnants of Krosnon's wagon on fire, thick black smoke billowing up into the air. You can see his horse Betsy lying dead on the ground with like arrows sticking out of it, and you can see Krosnon, like a couple of arrows sticking out of him, like blood stained down the front of his vestments. He's sort of like slumped with his head down, his beard covered in blood, and you can see he's like, in one hand he's like holding this black powder pistol.
Can I see anyone else? I'm going to scan the local sort of area, looking for anyone that potentially could be hiding or...
Okay, maybe a hunting roll.
Hunting. Oh, my character's disappeared. That was handy. Okay. And 1.
Okay, as you're looking around, you think you see maybe 2 or 3 sort of like roughly human-sized figures, but they're just sort of like dark shapes against the the snow of the mountains, sort of like disappearing over a nearby ridge.
So they look like they're leaving. They're not just looking like they're looking for cover or trying to hide, or
Difficult to tell at this distance, but you think, yeah, it seems like they're leaving.
okay. Well, I'm going to cautiously approach, keeping a good beady eye on that general direction to make sure they keep moving in the opposite way.
Okay, so are you moving towards them? Or are you moving towards
No,
Krosnon?
I'm moving towards the scene of the crime, as it were, but I just want to focus my attention as I'm moving up.
Okay,
They
so
don't turn around.
yeah, that's fine. So as you move closer, there's a bit of a cough from Krosnon, and he's sort of like, you see like one of his eyes is like covered in blood and sort of like sealed shut. He sort of like, almost like drunkenly, like swings his black powder firearm towards you, and then when he's like, you'll not take me, you. And then he sort of, his eye widens as he sees it's you, and like the strength obviously he recognises you. The sort of strength goes out of his arm, and his hand just like falls like limply by his side, still like clutching this pistol. And he lets out a racking, pained cough that rattles in his chest.
Okay, with that, then I'm thinking that he was already dead. At this point, I'm going to rush over and see if there's anything I can do for him. I haven't really got any particular skills, but
He's to the point where like he's not going to heal naturally. He would need some form of sort of applied healing to like help him recover. You can see that he's got like at least 3 arrows sort of sticking out, and you expect one of them's maybe like punctured a lung, given the sort of rattling wheeze that's coming out as he's breathing.
okay. Well, I'm going to just try and make him as comfortable as possible while I wait for the others, and just scan in the area in case these guys are going to return, or they're just trying to lure someone in or ambush.
Okay, no problems. One thing that does strike your notice is obviously you're helping Krosnon to sit up and you're sort of comforting him. You notice that the arrows that are sticking out of him are like very sort of like slender and like finely crafted.
And is that something I've seen before? Or
You don't know for sure, but given you've been knocking around with like Malcolm for a bit, you'd almost say they looked elven.
yeah, my suspicions are true. Yeah, okay.
At which point the rest of you guys were sort of following up behind. I'm going to ask Johannes, can you please make me a roll to see whether you guys get there before Krosnon dies? D6, anything but a 1.
4.
Yeah, okay, so you guys come like rumbling around the corner in your cart. You see this scene as I've described it, the wagon burning, the horse is dead with these arrows sticking out of it. You can see that Brock is sort of like helping Krosnon with these arrows sticking out of him sit up, and he's trying to like make him comfortable, but Krosnon does not look like he is along for this world. He's got 3 arrows sticking out of his chest.
So seeing that the arrows are potentially elven, I'd like to jump down and ask Krosnon what he saw of the people who attacked him.
He says, he coughs, and again you hear this rattle in his chest, and he says, I don't know who they were. They seem to just appear out of the mountain shadows. And you see like a tear roll down his good eyes. He sort of like gestures over at his dead horses. They shot Betsy and set fire to the wagon. I tried to scare them off with this, and he sort of like feebly attempts to like raise up his pistol, but they got me. And he sort of like looks down, and he does that bit where he like snaps off one of the arrows that's in his chest and sort of throws it on the ground, and he gives that a cough. You see a little bit of blood run out the corner of his mouth into his beard.
I'm gonna light up my pipe, John, because there's not long. I don't think there's long left for him, so I'm gonna get him a pipe and give him a pipe, just to sort of settle his nerves a bit.
You give him the pipe, and he sort of like, he just nods at you. Obviously, Kalnar dwarves a few words. He just sort of nods at you, And he sort of like, he tries to reach up for the pipe. You can see like he's got like no strength left in his limbs.
Yeah, I'll just hold it for him. I'll hold it for him.
You hold it close to his mouth, and he takes like a long drag. Then he sort of breathes out that ends in like a rattling cough, and he's like, "Oh, Dobie,
Oh, Dobie,
finest weed in South fucking."
He's nodded off.
Yeah, the old Dobie is no joke.
And he is indeed passed out, probably from the shock of like his body basically shutting down. He's probably got like a couple of minutes, if that, before he's dead.
So, Leopold, I know you probably have some thoughts on this, but I suggest we're not going to dig a grave here if this is an ambush territory. So,
no, I think we should lift him onto the wagon and take him away from here.
so
Cool.
I'll start getting on that. So just
Yeah. Well, I'll help. Yeah.
Take it we haven't got anything for any sort of healing.
No.
Nah.
Herbs or otherwise.
No, we used them with the roper.
Yep.
Can I these?
You do have one bit of healing that you may have forgotten about.
Oh, we have the ring of regeneration. We should put the ring of regeneration on.
I suppose we'll take the body, we'll put the ring on the body, put the body on the wagon, and see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. You slide the ring onto one of Krosnon's pudgy fingers. It seems to like slightly alter in size to like fit perfectly on his finger. And you put him on the back of the wagon. Nothing appears to happen. Then, like a few minutes later, you hear a from in the wagon.
Oh, we've got a live one.
And you see like Krosnon like sits sort of like bolt upright, and he's like so like coughing as he splutters to like taking a breath.
Okay. So I suggest we round up the rest of his things as much as we can and put them on the wagon too. Do we feel like we should follow these creatures and find out more about them?
Well, I think there's a score to settle myself.
How many figures did I see? John, was it 3?
3.
Yeah. I'll obviously inform that to the others.
Why don't we? Yeah. Why don't we have the? Yeah. Sure. I think we should follow them.
Yeah, I'm all for tracking them down. Whilst we've got a lead on them, we don't want them coming out and jumping us, or some other unwary traveller, some fellow prospector trying to earn an honest living.
If not mistaken, these arrows look elven to me.
Yeah. Me too. Be unusual for the walls to have attacked the calendar like this.
Well, in my experience, you get wrong uns in all types.
True.
From the distance I saw them, John, could I tell, if they had sort of backpacks and heavy clothing or sort of more short distance sort of?
You couldn't really tell. Literally, all you could see was sort of like 3 shadows in the distance.
Okay.
There's one way to find out, Brock. You get them and you grab them up by the throat, and you have a good look at them, face to face, and then you give them a few digs, and that'll settle the matter.
Well, while they're loading the body and helping, I'm going to go and try and find the tracks that I'm expecting to find where I last saw them.
Okay.
So
I'll go with them
so I
to help.
don't lose a scent sort of thing.
Yeah, that is absolutely fine. No worries at all. So, do you have any particular tracking ability or anything of that nature?
I would probably have to call on
I
Malcolm for
definitely
that.
do anyway.
I was just gonna, make sure that I don't forget where they were, because when you look at a load of trees,
Yeah.
you sort of, hang on, wasn't it that? And, I'm sure it was that. Oh, bloody hell, which tree was it? So
Okay. So, Malcolm, if you'd like to make a tracking roll since you're assisting.
I'll try and help as much as possible,
Yeah,
pointing out.
Well, yeah, because if it hadn't been for you, like, he wouldn't have been able to make a tracking roll because
Oh, okay.
he wouldn't have seen them.
I've got Shane Filan in the other room blasting out. Can't you have a word with him there, Rob? Shout out the window, tell him to turn it in.
Okay, so you do indeed, with the help of Brock, find the tracks of what appear to be half a dozen individuals. Although one thing does strike you as odd, the tracks appear to be very sort of slight. Now, given that it's fairly deep snow up here, you'd expect there to be like deep tracks, but these are only very shallow. It's only because like you're skilled at this that you've been able to follow them at all.
How many is there? 6, is
About
that?
6, yeah.
Okay.
Is that an elven thing?
Light-footed.
Yeah.
Well, elves are particularly light-footed, particularly in natural surroundings. However, these are a lot slighter than you would expect even from elves. It's almost as though there was almost no weight they were putting down on the snow as they left.
So probably not actually elves. Probably
Assassins.
probably like elf-like, but not elves. Elves.
Should we go and find them and see?
As long as we can track them, we've got the advantage, I would think. But if we lose the tracks, then I would be very cautious.
I'm kind of reticent because we don't know the numbers. It's probably not a large brand, right? But
Yeah, at the moment it's 6, we're saying, but
yeah,
where they're going to is another matter.
we've got a sizable amount to take home, is what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking, is vengeance worth it at the moment?
Well,
Considering what we have to lose.
revenge is a dish best served cold.
Really cold up here.
It'll be even colder if we went back to New Zealand and then come out.
You probably wouldn't find them again.
Maybe they'd find us.
Yeah, that's my fear.
Yeah, looks like all we need to do is come up here. You'll get shot at.
We're going to have trouble getting after them with a wagon, to be fair, with an injured dwarf in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little bit irresponsible, isn't it?
I'm thinking whether this would be a battle best for another day. Honestly,
I think we're about to lose the light, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true. It is the light's starting to dim slightly.
Weimar, with your sensible reasoning.
no, it's just sometimes you take it on the, and I motion at our friend. Sometimes you take it on the chest, and it's arrows, but you live, and that's what matters.
Yes, I think your counsel is wise. For once.
Even though I'm not a dwarf. That's.
I know it's hard to believe, but on this occasion, I have to say that it's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll credit it to the fact that I'm slightly lessened in stature now, and I'll sort of motion to my.
That's probably what it is. See, the trouble is when you get up there, the air gets thinner, and then you don't get the same quality of air.
Are you gonna help me with this? And I'll just start.
And as Weimar says, "Are you going to help me with this?" you hear the faint sound of drums in the distance.
In the direction that they went.
Indeed.
Are we talking rhythmic, like marching
like-
beat?
And is it? Well, it's hard to tell if it's coming towards us. We'll have to wait, won't we, to know that.
Well, let's just get out of here.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's sounds great.
Okay, so you all, because of these creatures.
I'm loath to retreat, but Weimar says we have to.
Yep. So you guys hop on the wagon, so to speak, and you begin heading back, presumably to New Zealand.
But the
I
question
think
is, do you want to stop at the end of the river stream just to get a recce, since we've got to set up camp there anyway? Just spend half hour before we set out in the morning. Or
Set up camp where? We're bugging out, aren't we?
Yeah, what, we're travelling through the night then?
I don't know.
But if the drums are beating and they're war drums,
Yeah, I don't want to hang around.
Yeah, I think probably.
The attractiveness of this campsite has gone downhill.
Oh yeah, but this ain't where we're going to camp. But travelling through the night, in Brock's experience, is particularly cold, obviously,
Well, you keep moving.
and dangerous.
I'll move as fast as it takes to keep warm.
And
I
as
think
Leopold,
probably as we go, there's going to be a comment from Weimar is like, "This, my friends, as we sort of trudge against the the terrain and the conditions, like this is what we used to call a forced march. Now, it's gonna be bad, but we're gonna make it."
and as Weimar says, it's going to be bad, but we're going to make it. That is where we draw a close to the session for this evening, guys. Thank you very much for playing. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
yeah, thanks for
Obviously,
the
no problems. Obviously, I'm happy to chat for a bit afterwards, and I'll sort out XP and whatever. But I'm going to end the stream here.